Imagine for a moment that you're sitting alone in a quiet room at the stroke of midnight. The world outside is still, wrapped in a blanket of silence so profound that even the faint hum of life seems to have paused. The clock on the wall ticks, but tonight, something feels different. Each second stretches, lingering as if reluctant to pass, as if time itself is hesitating, unsure whether to move forward or simply dissolve into the ether. Have you ever felt this? An unexplainable moment where the rhythm of existence seems to falter. This is where we begin, on the edge of the familiar, peering through the veil of time, a concept we think we grasp until it slips through our fingers like mist. Let's step into this space together, a place where the burdens of the day can fall away, where the relentless march of hours and minutes loses its grip. Close your eyes, if you wish, and let the weight of now soften. We're not here to chase answers or solve the puzzles of the universe. No, we're here to wander through a quiet, haunting exploration of something so fundamental, yet so elusive, that it shapes every breath we take. Time. We measure it, we fear it, we chase it, but do we truly understand it? Or is it a phantom, a construct of our minds, a mirror that reflects not just our lives, but the very nature of reality itself? Picture that clock again, its hands moving in a way that feels almost deliberate, as if it knows something you don't. What if time isn't the steady stream we imagine it to be? What if it bends, warps, or even fractures in ways we cannot see? This isn't merely the stuff of science fiction, though the idea of time distortions often conjures images of starships and wormholes. No, this is a philosophical riddle, one that has haunted thinkers, poets, and dreamers for centuries. If time isn't fixed, if it can stretch or shrink or loop back on itself, then what does that say about the world we inhabit? What does it say about us, beings who are so tethered to the ticking of a clock that we rarely stop to question whether it tells the whole truth? Consider the possibility that reality, as we perceive it, is only a sliver of a much vaster tapestry. Ancient minds wrestled with this, gazing at the stars and wondering if the cycles of day and night hinted at a deeper, hidden rhythm. Modern science, too, has peeled back layers of this mystery, revealing that time isn't the unwavering constant we once believed. It's pliable, influenced by speed, by gravity, by forces we can barely comprehend. But beyond equations and theories, there's something profoundly human in this uncertainty. We feel time in our bones. When a moment of joy slips away too soon, or when a night of sorrow seems to stretch into eternity. Could it be that these fleeting distortions, these glitches in our perception, are whispers of a larger truth? Take a moment to reflect on this. Have you ever experienced a second that felt like a lifetime, or a day that vanished before you could hold it? Let that memory linger. Let it settle into the quiet around you. We're not rushing tonight. There's no need to grasp or define. Instead, let's drift into this space where time seems to loosen its hold, where the boundaries of what we know begin to blur. What if time isn't a line marching ever forward, but a vast, uncharted expanse? A sea with currents we cannot predict, depths we cannot fathom. What if, in this very moment, as the world sleeps and the clock hesitates, we're standing on the threshold of something far greater than ourselves? This is our invitation, a gentle call to let go of certainty and wander into the unknown. Time, as we'll come to see, is not just a measure of our days. It's a mystery that challenges the very fabric of what we call real. So, settle in. Let the stillness wrap around you like a cloak. We're stepping beyond the veil now, into a realm where seconds might stretch into centuries, and where the quiet ticking of a midnight clock holds secrets we've yet to uncover. Imagine for just a moment a quiet evening where the world seems to hold its breath. The clock on the wall moves forward, tick by tick, a steady march you've always trusted. But what if that march is a deception, a comforting lie we've told ourselves since the dawn of our species? What if time, this invisible thread we weave our lives around, isn't the straight path we believe it to be, but something far more elusive, more intricate, more illusory. We humans have long seen time as a line, an arrow shot from the past, piercing through the present and soaring into the future without hesitation or detour. It's a construct so deeply embedded in our minds that we rarely question it. From the first crude sundials carved by ancient hands, casting shadows under a relentless sun, to the atomic clocks of today, humming with precision in sterile laboratories, we've built our understanding of reality on this unyielding forward motion. Every day, we wake, we work, we sleep, each hour a stepping stone on a path that never turns back. But pause for a moment and consider, why do we trust this linearity so completely? Is it because we've measured it, charted it, and bound it to our calendars? Or is it because we fear what might happen if we admit that time could be something else entirely? Picture yourself in a memory, one so vivid it feels like it happened only moments ago. Perhaps it's a childhood afternoon, the warmth of the sun on your skin, the laughter of a friend echoing across an endless field. In that memory, time doesn't move as it should. It stretches, lingers, refuses to let go. Minutes become hours in the haze of recollection, and yet, when you return to the present, you realize only a heartbeat has passed. What if this distortion isn't just a trick of the mind, but a glimpse into something deeper? What if time isn't a river flowing ever onward, but a labyrinth full of loops and dead ends, where moments can trap us, hold us captive, or slip away before we've even noticed their departure? Take a moment to reflect on this. Have you ever felt lost in a single second, as if the world around you paused while you stood frozen within it? Maybe it was a glance, a fleeting connection with a stranger, or the quiet before a storm where everything seemed to hang in suspension. In those instances, time doesn't seem to follow the rules we've written for it. It bends, it warps, it defies the arrow we so desperately cling to. The ancient Greeks spoke of two kinds of time: chronos, the measurable ticking clock, and kairos, the qualitative, the opportune moment that transcends the mundane. Perhaps they understood something we've forgotten, that time isn't just a tool to be harnessed, but a mystery to be felt, a force that slips through our fingers the moment we think we've grasped it. Consider the first calendars, etched into stone by hands long turned to dust. They weren't just marking days, they were trying to tame something untamable, to impose order on a chaos they couldn't fully comprehend. The Babylonians divided their days into hours, the Egyptians aligned their years with the flooding of the Nile, and yet, despite all their ingenuity, they must have felt it too, the strange, unshakable sense that time wasn't entirely theirs to control. Even today, with every second synchronized across the globe, we still encounter those fleeting anomalies. The hour that drags on forever in a waiting room, the day that vanishes in a blur of joy. Could it be that time as we perceive it is nothing more than a fragile illusion, a story we tell ourselves to make sense of a reality far more complex? Now, let your mind wander to a quiet, endless night, where you sit alone with your thoughts, staring at a clock whose hands seem to mock your understanding. What if, in that stillness, you realize that time isn't moving forward at all? What if it's circling, spiraling, folding in on itself in ways your mind can't trace? The illusion of linear time is a comforting one, a framework that keeps us grounded, but perhaps it's time to let go of that certainty, to entertain the possibility that we've been walking through a maze all along, unaware of the walls that curve and twist just out of sight. As you drift deeper into this thought, let the weight of the day slip away and allow yourself to wonder. If time isn't a line, then what are we truly moving through? Imagine, for a moment, that you're standing on the edge of a vast, unseen ocean. Its waves not of water, but of something far more elusive: time itself. What if time, this constant we measure with clocks and calendars, isn't a rigid line at all, but a fabric, soft and pliable, bending under the weight of unimaginable forces? What if the seconds ticking by on your wristwatch are merely an illusion, a a fragile thread in a tapestry woven with the very essence of the universe. Let's step into this mystery together, into a realm where time stretches and contorts, revealing its true enigmatic nature. Picture a spacecraft, a solitary vessel gliding through the infinite dark of space, its engines pushing it ever closer to the speed of light. Inside, a lone astronaut gazes out at the stars, unaware that something extraordinary is happening. For every second that passes within the ship, years, decades even, unfurl in the world left behind. A heartbeat aboard the craft becomes a lifetime on Earth. Children grow old, cities rise and fall, while the astronaut, caught in this strange temporal cocoon, barely ages a day. This isn't the stuff of fantasy, but a truth unveiled by a man who reshaped our understanding of reality, Albert Einstein. His theory of relativity whispers to us that time is not a universal constant, but a malleable thing, intertwined with space itself, stretching and compressing under the influence of speed and gravity. Consider the sheer wonder of this. Time, something we've always trusted to march forward at a steady pace, becomes as fluid as a dream. The faster you move, the slower time flows for you compared to those who stand still. It's as if the universe plays a quiet trick, slowing the clock for the traveler while the rest of existence races ahead. What does this mean for our understanding of life, of connection, of the moments we hold dear? If time can bend so easily, is it truly the anchor we believe it to be, or merely a veil hiding a deeper reality we've yet to grasp? Take a moment to reflect on this. Imagine yourself aboard that ship, watching through a porthole as the cosmos blurs past. Each second feels the same to you, yet you know that outside entire generations are slipping into history. Does it make you feel isolated or strangely timeless, as if you've stepped outside the ordinary flow of existence? Now, let's linger on this idea of time as a fabric, not a river. Einstein's vision tells us that space and time are not separate, but part of a single continuum, a four-dimensional weave that curves and warps under the influence of massive objects and incredible speeds. It's a concept that feels almost poetic, as if the universe itself is an artist, sculpting reality with invisible hands. The astronaut in our story isn't just moving through space. They're sliding along the folds of this fabric, where time dilates, stretching like a shadow cast long at dusk. What must it feel like to live in such a state, where the very rhythm of your existence defies the rules we've written for ourselves? And here lies the deeper question, one that tugs at the edges of our understanding. If time can be so subjective, so tied to motion and perspective, then what is it really? Is it a force, a dimension, a construct of our minds? Or is it something far stranger, a mystery woven into the very fabric of being, waiting for us to unravel its threads? As we ponder this, let the quiet awe of it settle over you. The ticking of the clock, the passing of the hours, they may not be as certain as they seem. Perhaps in this very moment, time is stretching just a little, inviting us to see beyond its surface, into the vast, uncharted depths of what might be. So, let your thoughts drift here, in this space where time reveals its fragility. What if every second we experience is shaped not just by the world around us, but by the unseen forces that bind the cosmos together? What if we too are travelers on a ship we cannot see, moving through a reality where time bends in ways we can only begin to imagine? Let this wonder carry you, like a gentle current, into a place of quiet curiosity, where the mystery of time becomes not a puzzle to solve, but a companion to dream with. Imagine, for a fleeting moment, standing at the edge of an abyss so vast, so incomprehensible, that time itself seems to falter in its relentless march. A place where the invisible force we call gravity doesn't just pull at your body, but tugs at the very fabric of your existence, stretching moments into eternities. This is the realm of a black hole, a cosmic enigma where the rules of reality bend and break, and where time, as we know it, begins to unravel. Let yourself drift into this quiet, haunting thought, an unseen weight that warps not just space, but the essence of every second you've ever lived. Picture an astronaut, brave or perhaps foolhardy, floating in the silent void of space, their craft inching closer to the event horizon of a black hole. That invisible boundary marks a point of no return, a threshold where the pull of gravity becomes so immense that not even light can escape. As they approach, something strange begins to happen. The ticking of their wristwatch slows, each second, stretching as if reluctant to pass. From their perspective, they hover there, suspended in a moment that feels like forever. But for those watching from a safe distance, perhaps from Earth, peering through telescopes across unimaginable distances, something far more surreal unfolds. Time for the astronaut seems to crawl, almost stopping, while centuries flash by on Earth. A single heartbeat near that dark abyss might correspond to 1,000 years of history unfolding elsewhere. Imagine the weight of that disparity. A fleeting glance from the astronaut's eyes, witnessing the rise and fall of civilizations in the blink of an eternity. This is the phenomenon we call gravitational time dilation, a consequence of Einstein's profound insight that time and space are not separate, but intertwined, woven into a single fabric that gravity can distort. Near a black hole, where gravity's grip is monstrous, time itself becomes a victim of that force. The closer you get to such a massive object, the slower time flows, as if the universe is pressing pause on your existence while the rest of reality races ahead. It's not just a quirk of physics, it's a quiet, unsettling reminder of how fragile our perception of time truly is. We walk through life assuming each second is equal, each minute a steady step forward. But here, at the edge of a cosmic void, time reveals itself as something malleable, something that can be crushed under the weight of an unseen power. Consider for a moment the implications of this. What does it mean to live in a universe where time isn't a universal constant, but a variable shaped by the mass of the world around us? If you were that astronaut hovering at the edge of oblivion, would you feel the weight of those lost centuries? Would you sense the lives beginning and ending in the world you've left behind, all while your own breath lingers in an endless now? Take a moment to reflect on this, how a single step closer to such a force could unravel the very rhythm of your life, turning a minute into a millennium. And yet, there's a deeper mystery here, one that whispers of something beyond our understanding. As the astronaut nears that event horizon, time for them doesn't just slow, it approaches a standstill. From the outside, they appear frozen, a silhouette against the darkness, never quite crossing that final line. But what do they experience? Does their mind continue to wander, trapped in a moment that refuses to end? Or does time, in some incomprehensible way, fold in on itself, becoming something we cannot name? This isn't just a question of science, but of existence itself. Gravity, that silent architect of the cosmos, doesn't merely shape planets and stars. It shapes the very essence of how we move through reality. It reminds us that time, which we so often take as a given, is not ours to command. It is a river that can slow to a trickle or vanish entirely under the weight of forces we can neither see nor fully grasp. Let this thought linger as you drift deeper into the quiet of this moment. Imagine yourself as that astronaut, feeling the pull of something ancient, something vast, something that rewrites the meaning of now. What would it mean to live in a place where time loses its grip, where the past, present, and future blur into a single, unending instant? There are no answers here, only questions that hang in the stillness like stars in the void. And perhaps that's enough. To wonder, to ponder, to let the weight of reality settle over you like a gentle, invisible force, pulling you not into darkness, but into a deeper kind of peace. Imagine for a moment that you've slipped into a realm where the rules of the waking world no longer apply, a place where the ticking of the clock becomes a distant whisper, and a single night can unfold into a sprawling epic of 1,000 years. This is the landscape of dreams, a mysterious territory where time seems to bend and sway, defying every notion of structure we cling to in our daily lives. Have you ever woken from a dream so vivid, so endless, that you couldn't fathom how it all fit into the fleeting hours of sleep? Let's wander into this surreal dimension together, exploring how time in dreams might reveal something deeper about the nature of reality itself. Picture yourself sinking into slumber, the weight of the day dissolving as your mind weaves its own tapestry of stories. In one fleeting vision, you're a child again, running through a field that stretches into forever, each blade of grass shimmering with a memory you thought was lost. Decades seem to pass in that field. Loves found and lost, cities built and crumbled. Yet when your eyes flutter open, the clock beside you insists only minutes have ticked by. How can a lifetime be compressed into the span of a single breath? Or consider the opposite, a dream where you're falling through an endless void, the air thick with a silence that suffocates. Each second stretches into an unbearable eternity, your heart pounding as if trapped in a moment that refuses to release you. Then, abruptly, you awake, and the fall that felt like hours was merely a flicker in the night. What is this strange alchemy of time that our subconscious seems to wield so effortlessly? Perhaps our dreams are not just random firings of a resting brain, but a glimpse into a parallel flow of existence, one where time is not a rigid line, but a fluid, malleable force. Ancient thinkers, from philosophers to shamans, often spoke of dreams as portals to other realms, places where the soul could roam free of the body's earthly constraints. Could it be that in these nightly wanderings, we brush against a truer understanding of time, unburdened by the ticking clocks and calendars we've constructed? In our waking lives, we measure moments with precision, slicing our days into hours and minutes as if to tame the chaos. But in dreams, there is no such control. A single image, a fleeting glance from a stranger in a dream, can carry the weight of years, imprinting itself on your soul with a clarity that defies explanation. Take a moment to reflect on this. Have you ever experienced a dream where time seemed to betray all logic? Where a brief nap unfolded into a saga, or a long night condensed into a single, piercing instant? What did it feel like to return to the waking world, carrying the echoes of a timeline that never truly existed? Consider, too, the recurring dreams some of us carry through life. Those strange looping narratives that revisit us like old friends or unresolved riddles. Each time, the scenes might shift subtly, yet the essence remains, as if time in that dreamscape is caught in a gentle whirlpool, circling back on itself. I once heard of a woman who, since childhood, dreamed of a grand library, its shelves stretching into an impossible horizon. In each visit, she felt older, as though she had lived entire chapters of a life within those walls, yet the library itself never aged. Decades of her real life passed, but in her dreams, she was both ancient and newborn, time folding over itself in ways she couldn't grasp. Does the mind, in its deepest recesses, craft these distortions to teach us something, to show us that our obsession with forward motion, with progress, is but one way to perceive the world? There's a quiet mystery here in how our sleeping selves seem unbound by the laws that govern our days. Scientists might point to the mechanics of REM cycles, to the brain's frantic dance as it processes memory and emotion, but even there, explanations falter when we try to capture the feeling of dream time, that sense of being both trapped and liberated, of living outside the stream we so desperately try to navigate when awake. Perhaps our dreams are a rebellion against the linear march we've imposed on ourselves, a reminder that beneath the surface of our ordered lives, time is far more elusive, far more poetic. What if, in those unguarded hours of sleep, we are closer to the essence of existence, a place where past, present, and future dissolve into a single, endless now? Let this thought linger as you drift through your own inner landscapes tonight. What stories does your mind weave when the world falls silent? And what might those stories whisper about the nature of time itself? A force that, in the quiet of a dream, reveals its most enigmatic face. Imagine for a moment a world where the sun does not simply rise and set, but dances in endless circles, returning to the same dawn after an age of darkness. Picture a reality where the seasons, the stars, and even the breath of life itself loop in vast, unbreakable rhythms. This is not the time we know, the relentless forward march we track with ticking clocks and fleeting days. This is the time of the ancients, a vision of existence as a great wheel, turning endlessly through creation and destruction, birth and rebirth. What did they see, those who came before us, that we have forgotten in our haste to move ever onward? Let us drift back, far beyond the reach of our modern calendars, to the stone temples of the Maya, where priests carved intricate cycles into stone, mapping not just years, but entire epochs of cosmic renewal. Their calendars were not mere tools to mark the passing of days. They were sacred mirrors of a universe that pulsed with repetition. A world would end, they believed, not in finality, but in transformation, giving way to another, as if reality itself were a serpent shedding its skin only to emerge anew. Thousands of miles away, in the ancient lands of the Indus, the Hindu sages spoke of yugas, vast ages that spiral through time, from golden beginnings to inevitable decay, only to loop back to purity once more. Billions of years unfold in a single breath of Brahma, the creator, and when he exhales, all that is crumbles, only to be reborn in his next sigh. Time, to them, was not a river flowing to some distant sea, but an ocean, rising and falling in, tides too immense for mortal eyes to fathom. Consider the weight of such a worldview. Unlike our obsession with progress, with carving a straight path from past to future, these ancient minds saw no end, no ultimate destination. Life was not a race against a dwindling hourglass, but a dance within an eternal rhythm. A farmer planting seeds under the gaze of a Mayan pyramid did not toil for a singular harvest, but for a moment within a greater cycle. Knowing his labor echoed those of ancestors and would resonate in descendants yet unborn. A sage meditating by the Ganges did not seek escape from time, but harmony with its endless turn, surrendering to the knowledge that all suffering, all joy, would return in some new form. What peace might lie in such surrender? What burden might lift if we too saw our struggles as mere ripples in a boundless sea, destined to return, reshaped yet familiar? Take a moment to reflect on this. Imagine your own life not as a fleeting line, but as a circle. Every choice, every sorrow, every fleeting laugh, could they be echoes of something older, or whispers of something yet to come? What would it feel like to live without the weight of finality, to trust that even the darkest night is but a curve in the wheel, bending toward dawn? Yet, as we linger in this ancient gaze, a quiet unease stirs. Have we lost something vital in abandoning this cyclical vision? Our modern world worships the arrow of progress, building towers of glass and steel, as if tomorrow must always outshine today. We measure success by how far we've come, not by how deeply we've returned to what matters. But what if the ancients saw a truth we've buried beneath our restless ambition? What if the universe itself breathes in cycles, stars collapsing, only to ignite anew, galaxies spiraling in patterns older than thought? Perhaps their calendars and myths were not mere superstition, but a reflection of a rhythm woven into the fabric of existence, a heartbeat we've grown too hurried to hear. And so, as we sit with this thought, let us wonder, does time truly march forward? Or does it turn, unnoticed, in a circle we cannot see? Could the ancients have grasped a harmony we've traded for the illusion of control? Let this question linger, like the faint echo of a drum struck long ago, reverberating through epochs, calling us to listen for a pattern we've forgotten. Perhaps, in the stillness of this night, we might hear it, a whisper of time's eternal return, inviting us to step off the relentless line and into the quiet, endless dance. Imagine for a moment that you're walking alone through the heart of a bustling city at dusk, the hum of life around you fading into a distant murmur as the golden light of the setting sun casts long, wavering shadows across the pavement. Suddenly, without warning, the world shifts. The modern skyline vanishes, replaced by narrow, cobblestoned alleys bathed in the flickering glow of gas lamps. The air grows thick with the scent of coal smoke and damp earth, and the distant clatter of horse-drawn carriages echoes where cars once roared. For a fleeting instant, you're standing in a time that isn't yours, a past long buried beneath layers of history. And then, as quickly as it came, the vision dissolves, and you're back in the present, heart pounding, wondering if what you saw was real or a trick of the mind. This is the strange and haunting phenomenon known as a time slip, an inexplicable moment where the veil between now and then seems to tear, allowing a person to glimpse, or even step into, a reality that should be unreachable. These accounts, whispered across generations, defy logic and challenge everything we think we know about the nature of time. They are not the stuff of science fiction, but raw, personal experiences that linger like a half-remembered dream. What could cause such a glitch in the fabric of our existence? Are these mere hallucinations, the mind weaving stories from fragments of imagination? Or could they be something more, cracks in the seamless illusion of time itself? Consider the story of a woman in the early 20th century, walking through the gardens of Versailles on a warm summer afternoon. As she wandered, the landscape seemed to shimmer, and before her stood not the manicured grounds of the present, but the court of Louis XIV, complete with powdered wigs and silk gowns, figures moving as if she were invisible to them. She watched, frozen, as a scene from centuries past unfolded with vivid clarity, only to blink and find herself alone once more, surrounded by tourists and modern voices. She later discovered that the path she walked no longer existed in her time, having been altered long before her visit. How could she have seen something so precise, so tied to a reality she couldn't possibly have known? These stories are not isolated. Across the world, from the misty hills of Scotland to the quiet villages of Japan, people recount moments where time seemed to falter. A man driving down a familiar road finds himself in a town square from the 1800s, only to return, minutes later, to a place that shows no trace of what he saw. A child playing in a field stumbles into a medieval market, hearing languages she cannot understand, before being pulled back to her own era as if nothing had happened. Each tale carries a quiet unease, a sense that the boundaries we trust to hold our reality together are far more fragile than we dare to admit. What might lie behind these fleeting journeys? Some suggest the mind itself is the culprit, weaving vivid daydreams or tapping into ancestral memories buried deep within us. Others speak of places where the past lingers, where the energy of history is so potent that it bleeds into the present, creating a bridge for those sensitive enough to cross it. And then, there are the more unsettling theories, that time is not a straight line, but a tapestry full of folds and overlaps, where certain moments or locations act as thin spots, allowing us to slip through without warning. If this is true, then time is not the steady river we imagine, but a vast, unknowable ocean, with currents that can pull us under without notice. Take a moment to reflect on this. Have you ever felt a sudden, inexplicable sense of displacement, as if the world around you wasn't quite right? Perhaps a street you've walked 100 times seemed momentarily unfamiliar, or a memory surfaced so vividly that it felt as though you were living it again. Could these be echoes of something larger, subtle ripples of a time slip you didn't fully cross? The mystery deepens when we consider that science, for all its precision, offers no clear answers. Physics tells us that time is relative, that it bends under the weight of gravity or speed, but it stops short of explaining why a person might step into a bygone era on an ordinary day. Perhaps the answer lies not in equations, but in the nature of consciousness itself. What if our perception of time is merely a construct, a fragile framework built to make sense of chaos, and these slips are glimpses of a truer reality? a place where past, present, and future coexist in a dance we cannot see. As the night deepens and the world grows still, let this thought linger like a quiet shadow in your mind. Time, the constant we rely on to anchor our days, may not be as solid as it seems. It might be a veil, thin and easily torn, hiding a deeper truth about the nature of existence. Whether these stories of time slips are born of imagination or something more, they remind us of a profound and humbling possibility: that we are not the masters of time, but merely its fleeting guests, wandering through a mystery far larger than ourselves. Imagine for a moment a glass tumbling from a table's edge, its fragile form meeting the ground in a cascade of shimmering fragments. The pieces scatter, each catching a glint of light, a silent testament to a moment that cannot be undone. Now picture those shards trembling, yearning to leap back into perfect unity, to reform the vessel as if nothing had ever happened. But they don't. They can't. This is the quiet tragedy of time, the unseen force that drags us ever forward, refusing to let us turn back. Why does time flow only in one direction? Why does the shattered remain broken, the past remain untouchable? Let us linger here in this delicate question as we explore the mystery of time's arrow and the melancholic beauty of a universe bound to decay. In the realm of science, this forward march is tied to a concept as inevitable as it is poetic: entropy. Entropy is the measure of disorder, the slow unraveling of order into chaos. Picture a room you've tidied with care, every object in its place, only to watch it descend into clutter over days or weeks, as if drawn by an invisible hand. The universe, too, seems to follow this path. From the fiery birth of stars to the cooling ashes of their demise, everything moves toward a state of greater disarray. Time, in this sense, becomes a witness to this decay, a silent companion to the cosmos as it spreads thinner, colder, more fragmented. But why must it be so? Could there be a reality where entropy reverses, where broken things mend themselves, where time flows backward as easily as it moves ahead? Or is this directionality woven into the very fabric of existence, a law we cannot escape? Consider the intimacy of this in our own lives. A word spoken in anger cannot be unspoken. A wound inflicted cannot be unmade, though we may heal around it. We carry the weight of our choices forward, each moment building upon the last, piling up like stones in a wall we cannot tear down. There is a certain sorrow in this, a quiet ache in knowing that we cannot revisit a fleeting joy or undo a fleeting mistake. Yet, there is also a strange beauty, isn't there? The irreversibility of time gives meaning to our actions, makes each second a brushstroke on a canvas we cannot erase. If time could reverse, if shattered glass could reassemble, would our lives hold the same weight? Would our loves, our losses, our fleeting triumphs still carve themselves so deeply into our souls? Take a moment to reflect on this. Think of a moment in your own life that slipped away, a memory tinged with the bittersweet knowledge that it will never come again. Feel the texture of that irreversibility, the way it shapes who you are now. Now, let us wander deeper into the scientific heart of this mystery. Physicists speak of time's arrow as a consequence of entropy's rise, a fundamental asymmetry in the laws of nature. Most of the equations that govern the universe, those elegant dances of particles and forces, don't care about time's direction. A ball rolling down a hill could just as easily roll up in the mathematics of motion, if only the conditions were right. Yet, at the grand scale of reality, something intervenes. The universe began in a state of unimaginable order, a singularity of infinite density and potential, and ever since that first explosive breath, it has been unwinding, spreading out, losing its pristine symmetry. Time, it seems, is the shadow cast by this unraveling, always pointing away from that initial perfection. But what if that origin story is incomplete? What if, in some distant corner of reality, or in a universe beyond our own, time's arrow bends or loops, defying the decay we take as inevitable? There is a haunting melancholy in pondering this forward march, isn't there? Picture a star burning out, its light dimming over eons, never to reignite. Imagine a garden withering under winter's touch, never to bloom again in reverse. Time's insistence on progression feels like a quiet loss, a reminder that all things, our joys, our creations, even the cosmos itself, are fleeting. Yet, perhaps there is a hidden grace in this decay. Each moment, precisely because it cannot be reclaimed, becomes a treasure, a fragile shard of experience that glitters only once before it's gone. Maybe time's arrow, though it pierces us with its relentless advance, is also what teaches us to hold tightly to the now, to savor the warmth of a fleeting embrace, or the whisper of a passing breeze. Let this thought linger as you drift in this quiet space. Consider the universe's slow descent into disorder and how it mirrors the small personal entropies of our own lives. Relationships that fray, memories that fade, dreams that scatter like ash. Is time's forward flow a curse, a cage we cannot escape? Or is it a gift, a silent guide urging us to create, to love, to live with urgency before the next moment slips away? There are no easy answers here, only the gentle weight of the question, resting like a shadow across the mind, inviting you to ponder as the world grows still around you. Imagine for a moment a reality so small, so strange, that the very rules of existence as we know them dissolve into a shimmering haze of possibility. A realm where the ticking of a clock, the steady march of seconds, holds no sway. Here, at the edge of understanding, in the flickering heart of the quantum world, time itself seems to falter, to blur, to become something other than what we've always believed it to be. What if the past, the present, and the future are not separate chapters in a story, but a single endless page where everything exists at once? Let this thought linger as we step into a domain where cause and effect, the very backbone of our reality, begin to unravel. Picture a particle, smaller than the smallest grain of sand, so minuscule it escapes the grasp of our senses. In the quantum realm, this particle does not simply exist in one place or move in one direction. It dances in a state of superposition, a ghostly presence that is everywhere and nowhere all at once. It is not bound by the linear path we imagine time to carve, an event that should happen before another, a collision, a decay, a fleeting interaction, might not follow the order we expect. In this strange underworld of physics, experiments have shown that particles can seem to influence each other across vast distances, as if the very notion of before and after is a mere suggestion, a trick of the mind. What does this mean for time? Could it be that, at the smallest scales of existence, time is not a river flowing relentlessly forward, but a still, boundless ocean, where all moments coexist? Consider the implications of such a reality. We build our lives on the foundation of sequence. First this, then that. We are born, we grow, we fade, each moment tethered to the one before it by an invisible thread of causality. But if, at the quantum level, this thread frays, if events can ripple backward or sideways without regard for order, then what are we to make of our own experience? Are we too caught in a web of simultaneity, unaware that every choice, every memory, every hope is already woven into a tapestry that defies beginning or end? Take a moment to reflect on this. Let the weight of such a possibility settle over you like a quiet mist. Does it unsettle you? Or does it bring a strange kind of peace to imagine a reality unbound by time's rigid constraints? This is not mere speculation born of idle thought. Scientists peering into the subatomic have encountered phenomena that defy our classical understanding. In the famous delayed choice quantum eraser experiment, the act of observation seems to reach backward, altering the state of a particle as if the future could whisper to the past. It is as though time, in these fleeting interactions, becomes a suggestion rather than a law. Some physicists even propose that time might not exist at all at these scales, that it emerges only when we zoom out, when countless quantum possibilities collapse into the familiar world we perceive. Imagine that. Time as an illusion, a construct of our limited perspective, dissolving into nothingness when we look too closely. It is a thought both dizzying and serene, like gazing into an abyss that gazes back with infinite calm. Let us linger on an analogy to ground this mystery. Think of a symphony, a vast orchestral piece with countless instruments playing in harmony. To our ears, the music unfolds note by note, a progression through time that feels inevitable. But to the composer, to the mind that crafted it, every note exists simultaneously on the page, a complete and timeless whole. Perhaps the quantum world is like that score, a reality where every event, every possibility is already inscribed, and what we perceive as time is merely our journey through. The melody, one bar at a time. Does this mean that free will, that the choices we agonize over, are already written? Or does it suggest that we too are composers, shaping the music even as we play it? As we drift through these questions, let the strangeness of it all wash over you. We are so accustomed to time as a taskmaster, a relentless force that pushes us forward, that to imagine it as fluid, as irrelevant, feels almost forbidden. Yet here, in the quantum haze, we glimpse a reality where such constraints fall away. A particle does not age. A quantum event does not wait. Past, present, and future blur into a singular, incomprehensible now. A now that holds everything that ever was or will be. What would it mean to live in such a state, even for a fleeting moment? To exist outside the arrow of time, to simply be, without the weight of what came before or the shadow of what lies ahead. Take a moment to reflect on this. Breathe in the quiet wonder of a world where time might not reign supreme. Perhaps, in our deepest essence, we are not so different from those quantum particles, existing in a state of boundless potential, untethered by the clock's unyielding hands. Let this thought carry you like a gentle current, into a space where the mysteries of existence feel not like burdens, but like invitations to wonder. For in this strange, subatomic realm, we find a whisper of eternity, a reminder that reality, at its core, may be far more vast, far more beautiful than we could ever dare to imagine. Imagine, for just a moment, that the world you know, the one bound by the steady rhythm of sunrise and sunset, suddenly slips away. You stand before a strange, humming contraption, a machine of gleaming metal and flickering lights, its purpose both impossible and irresistible. It beckons you with a promise, to tear through the fabric of time itself, to hurl you into a future so distant that the very air feels alien against your skin. What would you see in that far-off world? What would you become? Let this thought linger, like a whisper from a dream you can't quite remember, as we step into the realm of time travel, not as mere fantasy, but as a profound puzzle that unravels the nature of existence. Picture yourself now, stepping into this machine. The air crackles with an unseen energy as gears whir and a low hum vibrates through your bones. There's a fleeting moment of weightlessness, a sensation as if the ground beneath you has dissolved. And then, silence. You emerge into a world centuries ahead, a landscape transformed beyond recognition. Towers of glass and light pierce a sky that shimmers with colors you've never seen. The people, if you can call them that, move with a grace that seems inhuman, their eyes reflecting a knowledge you cannot fathom. The very notion of time feels different here, as though it has been stretched thin or folded upon itself, leaving you a stranger in a reality that has outgrown you. But as you stand in this alien future, a shadow of doubt creeps in. What if your presence here disrupts the delicate thread of history? What if a single word, a misplaced step, alters the past you left behind? Consider the paradox that haunts this thought. If you were to travel back and prevent your own birth, would you cease to exist in this very moment? or would the universe splinter, creating a new reality where you both are and are not? These questions hang in the air like a quiet fog, obscuring any hope of answers. They remind us that time is not a simple path to tread, but a labyrinth where every turn might lead to an impossibility. Let's drift deeper into this mystery. Imagine now that you attempt to return, to undo whatever ripples your journey has caused. You step back into the machine, the hum rising once more. But something feels off. The dials spin erratically, and the air grows heavy with a sense of wrongness. What if time itself resists your meddling? What if the past you seek is no longer there, reshaped by forces you unleashed without knowing? There's a chilling thought here, that time might not be a passive river we can navigate at will, but a living, sentient force that guards its secrets with impenetrable walls. Take a moment to reflect on this. What would it mean to be at the mercy of time's own will, a traveler forever lost between moments? And so we linger on this edge of possibility and peril. Time travel, in its essence, is not just a scientific curiosity or a fanciful dream. It is a mirror held up to our deepest uncertainties about who we are and what we can control. If we could step beyond the now, would we find freedom, or would we uncover the fragility of our own existence? Perhaps the true paradox lies not in the mechanics of such a journey, but in the human heart that dares to imagine it. As we stand in this imagined future, surrounded by a world that no longer knows us, we are left with a quiet wonder. Is time a boundary we were never meant to cross, or a mystery we are destined to chase, even if it leads us nowhere? Let this thought settle over you like a soft, enveloping darkness. The machine's hum fades, the strange skyline dims, and we are left only with the echo of what might be. Time, in all its elusive glory, slips through our fingers once more, leaving us to ponder its nature in the stillness of this moment. Have you ever noticed how a single moment can stretch into what feels like an eternity, or how an entire day can slip away in the blink of an eye? There's a quiet mystery in this, a puzzle woven into the fabric of our minds, where time bends, not under the weight of black holes or the speed of light, but under the silent influence of our own emotions. Let us wander into this inner landscape, where the ticking of the clock becomes a rhythm shaped by the heart, and explore why a fleeting second of fear can feel heavier than hours of calm. Imagine yourself standing on the edge of a decision, the kind that makes your pulse quicken, perhaps waiting for a life-changing phone call, or stepping onto a stage with 1,000 eyes upon you. In that sliver of time, the world seems to slow to a crawl. Each breath feels deliberate, each heartbeat a thunderous echo in your chest. A mere second stretches, unfurling into something vast, as if the universe itself has paused to watch. Why does terror or anticipation have this power to drag time into a reluctant dance, making it linger when we wish it would hurry past? It's as if our minds, in their rawest moments, rewrite the rules of reality, stretching the fabric of now into a space we cannot escape. Now contrast this with a memory of pure, unadulterated joy. A day spent laughing with someone you love, perhaps under a summer sky that seemed to promise forever. You blink and it's gone. Hours dissolve into a single fleeting sigh, leaving you wondering where they vanished to. Was it truly so brief, or did happiness trick your mind into racing forward, eager to savor every drop before it could fade? There's a bittersweet magic in this distortion, a reminder that our perception of time is not a cold, mechanical measure, but a living thing, colored by the hues of our inner world. Consider for a moment the biology beneath this mystery. Scientists tell us that in moments of high stress, our brains flood with adrenaline, sharpening our senses, recording details with a clarity that borders on the surreal. A near miss on a busy road, a sudden fall, every frame of the event imprints, itself with excruciating slowness. It's as though our minds, sensing danger, slow the reel of life to give us a chance to react. But what of joy, or grief, or longing? There's no survival instinct at play when we lose ourselves in a melody or ache for a memory. Yet time warps just the same, as if our emotions themselves are a force of nature, rivaling gravity in their ability to bend the hours. Take a moment to reflect on this. Think of a time when you felt trapped in a second that wouldn't end, or when a day of light slipped through your fingers like sand. What was it that held time captive or set it free? Was it fear, love, sorrow, or something quieter? A fleeting thought that reshaped the rhythm of your world? This elasticity of time, born not of physics but of feeling, whispers a deeper truth about our existence. We are not mere passengers on time's relentless march. We are its silent architects, shaping it with every thought, every tear, every burst of laughter. A child waiting for a holiday counts the days as if they are mountains to climb, while an elder, looking back, sees decades as mere whispers in the wind. Is this distortion a flaw in our perception, or a gift, a way to linger in the moments that matter most, even if only in the theatre of our minds? Let us ponder this further. If time can be so malleable within us, more pliable even than under the pull of a black hole, does it not suggest that reality itself is less fixed than we believe? Our emotions, those ephemeral currents of the soul, seem to wield a power that defies the laws of the universe. A single heartbeat of dread can outweigh a day of peace. A fleeting smile can erase years of longing. In this inner alchemy, we glimpse something profound. That time, for all its supposed rigidity, is as much a story we tell ourselves as it is a force we endure. So, as you rest here in this quiet space, let your mind drift to those moments when time seemed to slip from its usual path. Feel the weight of a second that refused to pass, or the lightness of a day that fled too soon. There is no need to solve this riddle tonight, only to sit with it, to let it unfold like a dream you cannot quite name. For in these distortions, in these silent stretches and sudden vanishings, we touch something eternal, a reminder that we too are woven into the mystery of time, bending it as it bends us, in a dance as old as the first thought, as deep as the last sigh. Imagine a quiet, dimly lit room at the edge of night, where the world seems to hold its breath, and the very notion of time feels like a fragile thread, woven into the fabric of a story yet to be fully told. What if the hours and days we count so meticulously are not a progression, but a loop, a tale that circles back on itself, revealing hidden truths with each turn? Let us step into the realm of literature, where writers and poets have long wrestled with the distortions of time, crafting worlds where the past, present, and future bleed into one another, defying the rigid march we so often take for granted. Consider the works of those who dared to challenge time's tyranny, like Marcel Proust, whose endless memories unfold like a river that refuses to flow forward, each recollection layering upon the last until time becomes a vast, shimmering tapestry. Or Jorge Luis Borges, whose labyrinthine tales twist timelines into knots, where a single moment might contain infinite possibilities and every choice echoes across unseen dimensions. In their words, time is not a line to be walked, but a puzzle to be felt, a mystery that deepens with every page turned. Their stories whisper to us of a truth we sense but cannot name, that time, perhaps, is not our master, but our mirror, reflecting the chaos and beauty of our own inner worlds. Let me draw you into a scene inspired by such literary enigmas, a fictional fragment where time's rules crumble like dry leaves underfoot. Picture a man named Elias, waking each morning to the same grey dawn, the same clatter of a distant train, the same bitter taste of coffee on his tongue. At first, he believes it a mere quirk of routine, a life too predictable to notice its own repetition. But as days, or what he thinks are days, pass, he begins to see the cracks. The newspaper on his table bears yesterday's date, always. The conversations with his neighbor repeat, word for word, though the neighbor's eyes seem to glimmer with a faint, unspoken recognition. Elias is trapped, reliving the same day in an endless spiral, a prisoner of a moment that refuses to let go. Yet with each cycle something shifts, a new detail emerges. A bird he hadn't noticed before, perched on a sagging wire. its song a mournful thread through the stillness, a memory of a childhood long buried surfaces, unbidden, as if the repetition is peeling back layers of his own mind. He begins to wonder if this eternal return is not a curse, but a gift, a chance to see what he had missed in the blur of a life lived too quickly. Is this day, this endless loop, teaching him to look closer, to feel deeper, to understand that time's true? Weight lies not in its passage, but in the meaning we assign to each fleeting second. Take a moment to reflect on this. Have you ever felt caught in a cycle of your own, a pattern of days or thoughts that seems to circle back, refusing to release you? What might you discover if you paused within that loop, if you searched for the hidden truths nestled in the repetition? As we linger in Elias's story, we might ask ourselves what these literary explorations of time reveal about our own existence. Are we, too, bound by unseen repetitions, reliving emotions or choices in ways we scarcely recognize? Proust once wrote of time as a force that hides within the folds of memory, waiting to be rediscovered in the scent of a madeleine or the sound of rain against a window. Borges, in his Infinite Libraries and Mirrored Realities, suggested that time might be a construct of our own making, a maze we build to give shape to the formless. Their words challenge us to reconsider our own relationship with the hours that slip through our grasp. What if time is not something we pass through, but something we inhabit? A story we write with each breath, each thought, each lingering regret. Perhaps literature holds a key that science and philosophy cannot fully turn. In the pages of a novel or the lines of a poem, time becomes elastic, bending to the will of the human heart. A single day can stretch into eternity, as it does for Elias, or a lifetime can collapse into the space of a sigh. These stories remind us that our struggle to grasp time's essence is not a failing, but a profoundly human endeavor, a quest to find meaning in a world that often feels as fleeting as a dream. And so, as we sit with these tales of eternal returns and endless memories, we might wonder if time's greatest distortion lies not in black holes or quantum realms, but in the narratives we craft to make sense of it all. Let this thought linger as the night deepens around you. What stories have you told yourself about the time you've lived, the time you've lost? What loops might you be tracing, unaware, in the quiet corners of your own life? Let these questions drift with you, gentle as a whisper, as we rest in this moment where time, for just a little while, seems to pause and listen. Listen. Imagine, for a moment, a place where time itself comes to an end, a boundary beyond which nothing escapes, not even the fleeting seconds that define our lives. Picture yourself drifting through the vast emptiness of space, drawn inexorably toward a darkness so profound that it swallows light, sound, and even the very fabric of reality. This is the realm of a black hole, a cosmic enigma where the rules of existence are rewritten, and time as we know it becomes a prisoner in an inescapable cage. Let us venture closer, not with fear, but with a quiet curiosity, to ponder what happens when we cross that invisible line, the event horizon, where time slows to a whisper and perhaps ceases to exist at all. As you approach this abyss, the universe around you begins to warp in ways that defy comprehension. The stars, once steady beacons in the night, stretch and distort into streaks of light, as if painted across the canvas of space by an unseen hand. Your heartbeat, steady at first, seems to lag, each thump echoing slower, as if reluctant to keep pace with a reality that is unraveling. Beyond the event horizon, time does not merely bend, it grinds to a halt. For you, falling into this void, a single moment could stretch into eternity, while outside, for those watching from a safe distance, the universe races forward. Decades, centuries, millennia, passing in what feels to you like the blink of an eye. It's as if you've become a frozen relic, suspended in a fragment of now, while the story of everything else writes itself without you. But what does this mean for the nature of time itself? Is this dark heart of gravity a place where time dies, where its relentless march finally stumbles and falls silent? Or is it something stranger? A realm where time is reborn into a form we cannot fathom, a dimension beyond our understanding, where past, present, and future collapse into a single, infinite point. Consider the paradox. If time stops for you, at the edge of this abyss, does it cease to exist? Or does it simply slip beyond the veil of human perception, hiding truths we are not yet equipped to grasp? Take a moment to reflect on this. Imagine yourself poised at that threshold, gazing into a void that gazes back, whispering secrets of a reality where time is no longer a river, but a prison. Perhaps black holes are not merely cosmic phenomena, but metaphors for the boundaries of our own existence. They remind us that there are limits to what we can know, places where the familiar breaks down and the unknown reigns supreme. To fall into a black hole is to surrender to the ultimate mystery, to accept that some questions may never have answers. What if, in that final moment before you cross the horizon, you glimpse something, a flicker of understanding, a hint of what lies beyond time's end? Would it be liberation, or a deeper entrapment in a puzzle without a solution? Let this thought linger as we drift in the silence of this imagined descent. The black hole, with its unyielding grip, becomes a mirror to our own uncertainties about time's nature. We build clocks, measure days, and mark the passing of years. Yet here, at the edge of the infinite, all of that falls away. What remains is a haunting quiet, a stillness that asks us to reconsider everything we thought we understood. Does time truly end in such a place? Or does it transform, shedding its familiar skin to become something eternal, something beyond the reach of thought? As you hover at this precipice in your mind, let the weight of the unknown settle over you, not as a burden, but as a gentle reminder that some mysteries are meant to be felt, not solved. And so, we remain here, suspended in this timeless void, neither moving forward nor falling back, simply existing in a space where the ticking of the clock no longer holds sway. Perhaps this is the ultimate lesson of the black hole. That time, for all its power over our lives, is but a fragile illusion when faced with the vastness of the cosmos. Let this thought carry you into a deeper stillness, where questions fade into wonder, and the mystery of time's ultimate prison becomes a quiet companion in the night. Imagine for a moment a quiet, dimly lit room, the kind where shadows seem to hold secrets of their own. On a weathered table sits a single photograph, yellowed at the edges, capturing a childhood moment, a sunlit garden, a laughter-filled afternoon, a memory so vivid it feels like yesterday. Yet when you step outside and revisit that very garden, now overgrown and unfamiliar, the years collapse into a strange dissonance. How can a memory feel so near, yet be so far? This fragile dance between time and memory is a mystery that binds us all, a thread that weaves through every life, distorting the past with each recollection, until we wonder, does time exist at all without memory to hold it in place? Let us linger on this thought, allowing it to unfold like a slow, deliberate breath. Memory is not a perfect mirror of what was. It is a painter, an artist that reshapes the past each time we call it forth. Think of an elderly soul returning to their childhood home after decades of absence. They walk through the creaking doorway, expecting to find the warmth of a kitchen where bread once baked, the echo of a parent's voice calling them to dinner. But the walls are bare now, the air heavy with dust, and the space feels smaller, almost foreign. The memory, once so sharp, blurs at the edges, tainted by the weight of years. Was the laughter as bright as they remember? Was the garden truly endless, or did time stretch it in their mind? A child's perception painting infinity where only a small patch of earth once stood. We reconstruct our past not as it was, but as we wish it to be, or perhaps as we fear it might have been. This interplay between time and memory raises a deeper, almost haunting question. If our memories are so malleable, so prone to distortion, what anchors time itself? Is time a river that flows independent of us? Or is it merely the story we tell ourselves? A narrative built from fragments of what we choose to remember. Consider how a single moment, a first love, a profound loss, can eclipse entire years, compressing them into nothingness while that one memory burns bright, eternal. It is as if time bows to the weight of emotion, allowing some seconds to stretch into forever, while others vanish without a trace. Take a moment to reflect on this. Is there a memory in your own life that seems to defy time? A moment that feels as present now as it did then? Let us wander further into this labyrinth. Philosophers have long mused that memory is the only true measure of time, for without it, the past ceases to exist. Imagine a mind wiped clean, a slate without a single mark of yesterday. For such a person, time would be an eternal now, a fleeting present with no depth, no history to give it meaning. The ancient Greeks spoke of Mnemosyne, the goddess of memory, as the mother of the muses, for without her, no art, no story, no understanding of the human condition could exist. Memory, in their view, was not just a record, it was the very fabric of time, the thread that stitched moments into a coherent whole. Yet, if memory is so fragile, so easily reshaped by the passing years, does that not mean time itself is fragile too, a construct as unsteady as the mind that holds it? There is a quiet melancholy in this realization, a sense that we are both the keepers and the prisoners of our own past. Each time we recall a moment, we alter it, layering it with the emotions and perspectives of who we are now, not who we were then. A joyous childhood memory might grow tinged with sorrow as we age, knowing we can never return to that innocence. A painful regret might soften over time as we learn to forgive ourselves. In this way, memory does not just record time, it warps it, bending it into shapes that suit our present needs. And so, we must ask, are we truly remembering the past, or are we creating it anew with every thought? This dance between time and memory leaves us on unsteady ground, as if standing at the edge of a vast uncharted sea. If memory is unreliable, if it shifts and fades with each passing year, then what is time but a ghost, a whisper of something we can never fully grasp? Perhaps time is not a force outside us, not a ticking clock or a cosmic law, but something deeply personal, something that lives only in the stories we tell ourselves. As the night deepens and the world grows still, let this thought linger in the quiet corners of your mind. Does time exist without memory to give it form? Or are we, in the end, the sole architects of our own eternity? Imagine a painting hanging silently in a dimly lit gallery, its canvas streaked with molten clocks that droop like weary travelers, their hands sagging as if time itself has grown tired of marching forward. In this frozen frame, a face peers out, half youthful, half withered, caught in a moment that defies the natural order of seconds and years. There's something unsettling yet mesmerizing about it, a quiet rebellion against the relentless tick of the clock. What if artists, through their surreal visions, have glimpsed a truth about time that science struggles to define? What if, in these distorted images, time reveals itself not as a straight path, but as a fluid, elusive dream? Consider the works of Salvador Dali, where time melts under an unrelenting sun, pooling into shapes that mock our rigid calendars and schedules. In his world, a single glance holds the weight of centuries, and a fleeting second stretches into an eternity of warped perception. Or think of a photograph, a mere sliver of reality captured in a shutter's blink. Yet within it, a story unfolds. Children frozen mid-laugh, a storm cloud poised to burst, a life preserved in amber. Art, in its stillness, seems to bend time, to trap it in a space where past, present, and future collapse into one. Does the artist, in creating such a moment, become a kind of time traveler, stepping outside the flow to observe its currents from a distance? This idea lingers like a faint whisper in the mind. Perhaps art is a window into time's true nature, a place where its rules are suspended, and we are allowed to see beyond the illusion of progression. A medieval painting of a saint might carry the weight of 1,000 prayers across generations, each viewer adding their own layer of meaning, their own fragment of time to the image. A film frame, paused on a lover's anguished farewell, can evoke a grief that feels as ancient as humanity itself, though the scene was crafted mere decades ago. In these frozen moments, time does not move forward. It spirals, it folds, it haunts. Could it be that artists, with their brushes and lenses, are closer to unraveling time's mystery than the equations of physicists or the musings of philosophers? Take a moment to reflect on this. Have you ever stood before a piece of art and felt time slip away, as if the world outside ceased to exist and all that remained was the eternal now of the image? Perhaps it was a portrait whose eyes seemed to follow you, carrying a secret from a forgotten era, or a sculpture whose weathered stone whispered of hands long gone. In those quiet encounters, did you sense time's distortion, its willingness to bend under the weight of human creation? There's a gentle enigma in this thought, one that doesn't demand an answer, but invites a slow, contemplative drift. Art does not merely capture time, it reshapes it, offering us a glimpse of a reality where moments are not lost but held, where the fleeting becomes immortal. As we linger on these surreal clocks and timeless faces, we might wonder if time, at its core, is less a force of nature and more a canvas of our own making. What stories would we paint if we too could step outside its stream and see it not as a river, but as a vast, endless gallery of frozen dreams? Let this thought carry you, like a soft current, into a space where time's rigidity softens, and all that remains is the quiet beauty of a moment held forever still. Imagine for a moment standing on the edge of an abyss so vast that your mind struggles to comprehend its depth. Not an abyss of space, but of time, cosmic time, the great clock of the universe itself, ticking in rhythms far beyond our fragile, human grasp. What if everything you've ever known, every fleeting second of joy or sorrow, is but a whisper in an endless symphony spanning billions of years? Let us drift into this immense expanse, where the birth and death of stars unfold, like a slow celestial dance, and ask ourselves, does time as we understand it even matter on such a scale? Picture the universe in its infancy, a mere heartbeat after the Big Bang, when all that would ever be exploded into existence from a single incomprehensible point. In those first moments, time as we know it may not have even existed. Perhaps it was born alongside the cosmos, a twin to the fabric of reality. Now stretch your mind forward, eon by eon, as primordial chaos congeals into the first stars. Their fiery births are cataclysms of light, each one igniting over millions of years. Yet in the grand tapestry of cosmic time, it's as fleeting as a candle flicker in a storm. Galaxies spiral into being, their arms reaching across unimaginable distances, each turn of their cosmic waltz lasting hundreds of millions of years. If you could witness this from some impossible vantage point, it might feel like watching a painting come to life in slow motion, each brushstroke taking an eternity to complete. Now, let us linger on a single star, one not unlike our own sun, born in a nebula's cradle some 5 billion years ago. Its life unfolds in a steady rhythm, hydrogen fusing into helium in its core, a quiet furnace burning for billions of years. Yet, in the scope of cosmic time, even this enduring glow is but a momentary spark. When its fuel is spent, it will swell into a red giant, consuming any worlds that orbit too closely, before collapsing or erupting in a final brilliant gasp. And then, silence. A white dwarf cooling over trillions of years, or perhaps a supernova's remnants scattering into the void. What is a human lifetime against such a backdrop? A day, an hour, a single breath. Our entire history, from the first stone tools to the skyscrapers of today, is less than a blink in this vast chronology. Take a moment to reflect on this. How does it feel to measure your existence against the slow, relentless march of cosmic epochs? Does it shrink your sense of self, or does it somehow expand it, knowing you are part of this ancient story? Consider now the galaxies themselves, those grand islands of stars and dust adrift in the void. They collide and merge over billions of years, their gravitational embrace reshaping entire regions of space. The Milky Way, our galactic home, is on a collision course with Andromeda, a union that will unfold 4 billion years from now. If humanity somehow endures to witness it, what will time mean to us then? Will we have transcended our petty clocks and calendars? Or will we still cling to seconds and minutes, desperate to anchor ourselves in a reality that cares little for our measures? This brings us to a deeper, more haunting question. Is time, as we perceive it, even real on such a scale? To us, it flows like a river, relentless and directional, carrying us from birth to death. But to the universe, time might be nothing more than a convenient illusion, a construct we impose to make sense of our fleeting place within it. Stars do not count their years. Black holes do not mark the passage of hours as they devour light and matter. Perhaps in the grand expanse of cosmic time, past, present, and future are meaningless, merely different shades of an eternal now, incomprehensible to minds bound by the ticking of a clock, and yet here we are, small and temporary, gazing up at the night sky, trying to grasp the ungraspable. There is something both humbling and beautiful in this act of reaching, isn't there? We weave stories and theories, craft equations and myths, all to understand a force that operates on a scale so far beyond us. Maybe that's the true essence of our humanity. Not in mastering time, but in wrestling with its mystery, in daring to ask why we are here at all in this vast, ancient cosmos. So, as you let these thoughts settle over you like a quiet mist, consider this final whisper. If time means nothing to the universe, why do we hold it so tightly? Is it our anchor or our cage? Let this question linger as we drift deeper into the unknown, carried on the silent currents of a reality far older than we can ever hope to fathom. What if time, as we know it, is nothing more than a veil, a thin, fragile curtain we've draped over reality to make sense of our fleeting existence? Imagine sitting in absolute stillness, the world around you hushed, the faint hum of life retreating into a distant whisper. In this quiet, something shifts, the relentless march of seconds, minutes, hours. It falters. You feel it, a moment that stretches beyond its bounds, a now that refuses to slip into the past. This is the heart of meditation, a space where time's grip loosens, and we are left with something deeper, something eternal. Picture yourself in a dimly lit room, the air heavy with silence. You sit cross-legged on the floor, your breath a slow rhythm, a tether to the present. Each inhale draws you inward. Each exhale releases the weight of what was and what will be. The clock on the wall, if you dare to glance at it, seems irrelevant. Its ticking fades into nothingness, swallowed by the vastness of this single moment. Here, there is no rush, no deadline, no memory pulling you backward, or anxiety pushing you forward. There is only now, an endless, boundless now that feels like it could hold the entirety of existence within it. This is not a new discovery, though it may feel like one in our hurried modern lives. Ancient traditions, from the teachings of the Buddha to the meditative practices of the desert mystics, have long whispered of this truth. Time is not the rigid structure we imagine it to be. It is a construct, a story we tell ourselves to navigate the chaos of being. In the stillness of meditation, those who sought enlightenment found a way to step outside that story. They spoke of the eternal present, a state where past and future dissolve like mist under the morning sun. What if they were right? What if time, as we experience it, is merely an illusion, a trick of the mind that keeps us tethered to the fleeting rather than the infinite? Consider this. When you close your eyes and let your thoughts drift, when you focus on the rise and fall of your chest, something profound happens. The boundaries of time begin to blur. A minute can feel like an hour, or an hour can slip away. as if it were a single breath. This isn't just a quirk of perception, it's a glimpse into a deeper reality. The mind, unburdened by the constant chatter of daily life, touches something timeless. It's as if we've stumbled upon a hidden river, one that flows beneath the surface of our ordinary awareness, carrying us to a place where the concept of time holds no sway. Take a moment to reflect on this. Have you ever felt it? A moment of such profound stillness that the world seemed to pause, that the weight of hours and days lifted, if only for an instant. Perhaps it was during a quiet walk at dawn, or in the silence after a loved one's laughter faded. In those fleeting seconds, did you sense something beyond the ticking of the clock? Something vast, something eternal? This idea, this experience, challenges everything we've been taught about time's relentless forward march. We live in a world obsessed with schedules and deadlines, where every second is measured, catalogued, and spent. But in the practice of mindfulness, in the art of simply being, we find a rebellion against that tyranny. The ancient sages of India, sitting beneath sprawling banyan trees, understood this. They taught that the present is all there is, that to dwell in it fully is to touch the divine. The Zen masters of Japan echoed this wisdom, urging their students to let go of yesterday and tomorrow, to find peace in the sound of a single raindrop or the warmth of a single breath. And so, as you sit in this imagined silence, let yourself wonder, what if time is not a river flowing inexorably towards some distant end, but a mirror reflecting only what we choose to see? In meditation, we turn away from the mirror's distortions and face the raw, unfiltered now. It's a place of quiet power, where the mind ceases its restless wandering and rests in the truth of the moment. Here, there is no need to chase or to flee. There is only presence, a presence that feels, in its stillness, like it could stretch across lifetimes. This eternal now is not something to grasp or to hold. It is something to surrender to. It asks nothing of us but to be, to exist without the burden of what has been or what might be. And in that surrender, we find a kind of freedom. Not a freedom from time, but a freedom within it. A way to live outside its constraints, if only for a breath, if only for a heartbeat. So, let this thought linger as the silence deepens around you. What if the truest reality lies not in the ticking of clocks or the turning of calendars, but in this very moment, this unshakable now? What if peace, true peace, is found not in escaping time, but in dissolving into it, becoming one with the stillness that lies at its heart? Imagine a silence so profound that even the faintest whisper of movement ceases to exist. A vast, endless expanse where the stars no longer flicker, where the dance of galaxies slows to an imperceptible crawl, and where the very heartbeat of the cosmos falls still. What happens to time when there is nothing left to mark its passage? This is not a realm of science fiction or idle fantasy, but a vision of the universe's ultimate destiny, a state known as the heat death, where entropy reigns supreme and all energy dissipates into a uniform, unchanging void. In this frozen eternity, does time itself come to an end? Or does it transform into something beyond our grasp, a stillness so absolute it defies comprehension? Let us wander into this desolate future, billions upon billions of years from now, long after the last stars have burned out their final embers. Picture a cosmos drained of warmth, where black holes have evaporated into nothingness, and the once vibrant tapestry of matter and energy has unraveled into a cold, featureless grey. There are no clocks to tick, no seasons to turn, no hearts to beat. Change, the very thing that defines time as we know it, has vanished. A second is indistinguishable from a century, a millennium from an eon, because there is nothing to differentiate one moment from the next. It is as if the universe has exhaled its final breath and settled into an eternal slumber, a state where the concept of before and after loses all meaning. Is this the death of time? Or has time simply shed its mortal disguise to become something else? Something we, bound by the fleeting rhythms of life, cannot possibly fathom. Consider for a moment the nature of entropy, the relentless force that drives this cosmic decay. Entropy is the measure of disorder, the inevitable tendency of all things to spread out, to lose their structure, to fade into chaos. It is why a shattered vase does not reassemble itself, why a hot cup of tea cools to match the room, why the universe itself must one day reach this point of maximum disorder. Time, as we experience it, seems tethered to this process, a forward march dictated by the unraveling of order. But when entropy achieves its ultimate victory, when there is no more order to lose, no more gradients to equalize, what becomes of time? Does it stop, like a river drying up at its source? Or does it linger as a ghost, a memory of motion in a reality that no longer moves? Take a moment to reflect on this, an end so final that even the idea of ending ceases to hold weight. Let us delve deeper into this haunting stillness through an analogy of our own making. Imagine a grand library, its shelves once filled with countless stories, each page a record of events, emotions, and change. Over countless eons, the ink fades, the pages crumble, and the stories dissolve into dust until there is nothing left but empty space. The library stands, but its purpose is gone. Time, in this metaphor, is the act of reading, the turning of pages, the unfolding of narratives. When there are no more stories to tell, no more pages to turn, does time still exist within those silent walls, or has it slipped away unnoticed? Perhaps this heat death is not an end, but a transformation, a library without books, yet still holding the echo of every word ever written, an imprint of time that persists in absence. This vision of the universe's fate challenges us to confront the impermanence of all we hold dear, not just in our own lives, but in the grand arc of existence itself. We measure our days by sunrises, by the ticking of clocks, by the aging of our bodies. But what happens when there is nothing left to measure? Is time merely a construct we've created to make sense of change? Or does it possess an essence independent of the cosmos? A silent observer that watches even when there is nothing left to see? The heat death whispers to us of a reality where such questions may never find answers, where the very act of questioning falls silent in the face of infinite stillness. Yet, there is a strange serenity in this thought, a quiet that soothes even as it unsettles. The idea of a universe at rest, where the chaos and struggle of existence finally cease, carries a kind of peace. It is not a peace we can inhabit, not a rest we can know, but it lingers on the edge of imagination as a reminder of the vastness beyond our fleeting lives. Perhaps, in this ultimate stillness, time does not die but becomes eternal in a way we cannot comprehend. A single, unending moment that holds all that ever was and all that will never be. Take a moment to reflect on this quiet end, to let the weight of such an idea settle over you like a soft, endless night. As we linger in this thought, let us not fear the heat death, but rather marvel at the mystery it unveils. It is a reminder that time, for all our attempts to grasp it, remains elusive, a force or illusion that shapes us even as it slips through our fingers. In the face of such an incomprehensible future, we are left with a humble awe, a recognition of how small yet wondrous our place is within the unfolding of reality. So, let your mind drift in this stillness, in this vision of a cosmos where time may no longer flow, and allow yourself to rest in the quiet of the unknown. Imagine, for a moment, standing on the edge of a long-forgotten childhood memory, a summer day that seemed to stretch on forever, where the sun hung lazily in the sky, and every hour felt like a small eternity. Now, contrast that with the fleeting rush of today, where weeks blur into months and years vanish before you've had the chance to hold them. Why does time, that constant companion of our lives, feel so different as we journey through it? Why does it seem to slip through our fingers, faster with each passing season, as if racing towards some unseen finish line? Let's linger here, in this quiet space of reflection and ponder the peculiar distortion of time that shapes our personal experience. As children, we lived in a world where a single day could hold the weight of a lifetime. A morning spent chasing shadows in the yard, an afternoon lost in the pages of a book, a twilight filled with whispered secrets under a blanket fort. Each moment was a vast landscape to explore, unhurried and unbound. Time was a gentle stream, meandering slowly, allowing us to wade in its shallows without fear of it carrying us away. But as we grow, as the years pile upon us like layers of sediment, that stream becomes a torrent. A year, once an endless horizon, now feels like a fleeting breath. Birthdays arrive with startling speed, and we find ourselves asking, where did the time go? As if it were a thief that slipped into our lives unnoticed. Is this acceleration of time merely an illusion? A trick of perception woven into the fabric of our aging minds? Perhaps it is biological, a consequence of how our brains measure the passing of days. Scientists suggest that as we age, each new year represents a smaller fraction of our lived experience. To a 5-year-old, a year is a fifth of their life, a monumental span. To someone who has seen 50 winters, it is but a sliver, a mere 2% of all they've known. Could it be that simple, that mathematical, a cold equation dictating the shrinking of our temporal world? Or is there something deeper, something more philosophical at play? A quiet whisper reminding us of our own impermanence. Think back to those endless childhood summers, to the way a single moment could stretch into forever when you were waiting for something. A friend to arrive, a storm to pass, a parent to call you home. Time seemed to bend to your will then, or perhaps to defy it, lingering stubbornly in the spaces where you wished it would hurry. Now, as adults, we chase time instead of letting it unfold. Our days are carved into schedules, our hours into tasks, our minutes into fleeting glances at a clock. We live in a world that demands we keep pace with its relentless march, and in doing so, we lose the ability to feel time's texture, to savor its depth. Is this why it speeds up? Not because of biology alone, but because we've forgotten how to stand still within it. Take a moment to reflect on this. When was the last time you felt time slow down? Not out of boredom or dread, but out of pure, unadulterated presence. Was it a quiet evening watching the sunset, where the colors bled into the sky so gradually that you forgot the ticking of the clock? Or a fleeting instant of joy, holding someone close, where the world seemed to pause just for you? These rare glimpses remind us that time is not just a force outside us, but something we shape with our attention, our emotions, our very being. Yet, even as we search for those moments, the years continue to slip away. We look in the mirror and see lines where once there was smooth skin, grey where once there was colour, and we wonder how we arrived here so quickly. There's a melancholy in this realization, a soft ache that comes with knowing we cannot reclaim the endless days of our youth. But perhaps there's also a strange beauty in it, a reminder to cherish the time we have now, to hold each passing day with a little more care, even as it seems to hasten past us. For if time is a river, growing swifter with each bend, then perhaps our task is not to fight its current, but to learn how to float within it, to let it carry us with grace toward whatever lies beyond the next horizon. And so, as we sit with this thought, let us ask ourselves, is time's fleeting pace a burden, or a quiet nudge to live more fully in the now? Does its acceleration signal loss, or does it unveil the preciousness of each fleeting second? These questions hang in the air like a gentle mist, inviting us to linger a little longer in their mystery, to feel the weight and wonder of our own journey through time. Imagine a quiet room, bathed in the faint glow of a single candle as the world outside falls silent. The clock on the wall strikes midnight, but something feels off. The hands tremble, hesitating, as if unsure whether to move forward or slip backward into the shadows of hours already lived. In this fleeting moment, time itself seems to waver, a fragile thread stretched thin between what was and what might be. We've journeyed far, pondering the nature of this relentless force, and yet, as we stand at the edge of understanding, we find ourselves circling back to the same truth. Time remains a mystery, an enigma that no equation, no poem, no ancient wisdom can fully unveil. Think of time as a vast ocean, its surface rippling with the moments we grasp, birthdays, farewells, the quiet pause of a sunset. But beneath, in depths we cannot reach, lie currents and tides that defy our reckoning. We've built calendars and clocks to map this ocean, to carve order into its chaos, yet even our finest tools falter. Science tells us time bends near the edges of black holes, stretching thin under the weight of unimaginable forces. Philosophy whispers that time might be a construct, a story we tell ourselves to make sense of change. And still, in the stillness of a midnight hour like this, we feel it. Something beyond definition, a presence that slips through our fingers like mist. Consider the clock again, its hands now blurring as if caught in a dream. What if time isn't a line at all? Not a river flowing forward, but a loop, a circle with no beginning and no end. Ancient minds saw this possibility, crafting myths of eternal returns, of worlds reborn in endless cycles. Modern thinkers, too, wrestle with the idea: could the universe itself collapse and restart, each iteration unaware of the last? Or perhaps, on a smaller scale, we live our own loops, reliving choices and regrets in the quiet theatre of memory. There's a strange comfort in this thought, isn't there? That time, for all its apparent cruelty, might not be a march toward an end, but a dance that never truly stops. Take a moment to reflect on this. Let your mind drift to a memory, any memory, and notice how time feels within it. Does it rush, like a storm, or linger like a summer dusk? Does it feel fixed, or does it shift each time you revisit it, reshaped by who you are now? In this act of remembering, you touch the heart of time's mystery, its refusal to be pinned down, its insistence on being both fleeting and eternal all at once. Now, let that memory fade and return to this midnight hour, where the clock's ticking grows softer, almost a whisper. We've sought to understand time through the lens of physics, through the brush strokes of art, through the quiet of meditation. We've imagined it as a fabric, a prison, a dream. And yet, here we are, no closer to its core than when we began. Perhaps that's the point. Perhaps time's deepest truth is not in solving it, but in surrendering to its wonder. To sit with the unknown, to let it wash over us like a gentle tide, is to find a kind of peace. After all, isn't it enough to simply be here, in this moment, whether it lasts a second or a century? As the candle flickers and the shadows grow long, let this mystery be your companion. Let the unanswered questions of time cradle you, not as burdens, but as quiet lullabies. The clock may strike again, or it may not. Does it matter? In this space, where past and future blur, you are free to drift, to rest, to wander through the endless labyrinth of now. Let time, with all its secrets, carry you gently into whatever lies beyond this midnight hour.